Guest of the afternoon is Congressman-elect Kai Kahele. Soon to be Representative Kahele will be the only, this is really incredible, actually, and it bothers me. We'll get to it. The second ever native Hawaiian to be elected to Congress. I find that shocking. Prior to his election to the House, he was a Hawaii state senator where he served as a majority whip and majority floor leader. Representative-elect Kahele, I don't know if you're in Hawaii. I just saw a tweet of you standing in front of the Capitol on November 20th in D.C. So are you here or are you there?
I'm here in Hawaii, and aloha to everyone from
aloha.
The great state of Hawaii.
Well, I have to say, I love this tweet that I have here. It says, it's Aloha Friday, and the Aloha shirt is back in the U.S. House of Representatives. It's very, very cool. So let me just ask you, what's on your dashboard as you come to town and you start in the next Congress? What are you going to try and do?
Well, first of all, Steve, thanks so much for having me. And what a great all-star panelists you had earlier. Jennifer, Heather, and Nancy, they did just a fantastic job. And, I'm just excited to come to Washington, D.C. I'm looking forward to representing the state of Hawaii and doing many of the things that the previous speakers talked about, especially getting us through the initial phases of the vaccination process for COVID-19 and getting our economy back going again.
What we've been talking about today and the senior Americans who voted, when you're out kind of campaigning and talking to them, what did you feel from them that they really wanted? We know part of it was COVID, part of it is the economy. But beyond that, what do you feel people were missing that they want this city to try to help them on?
Well, it's clearly working together in a bipartisan fashion and putting our country first, something I'm very familiar with as a member of the military and for the last 20 years, working side by side with my other service members, but here in Hawaii, our seniors, and we call them our kupuna. Our kupuna are our most precious resource. They're irreplaceable pillars of our community. They're a critical voting bloc. And they want Congress to work together. They want Washington to work together. And that's really, really important for my district. 65 and older population has grown by almost 37.6% between 2010 and 2019. And that's a trend that's occurring across the United States. And so it's really important as we have this silver wave or a silver tsunami, as we like to call it, that continues to grow. That we address the issues that are really important to them. And many of your previous speakers spoke about that in terms of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and of course the vaccination is and getting that out to our most critical people throughout our community.
I don't know, and I'll admit that I should know, but I don't know the state of play with the Hawaii delegation, to what degree, and also within the, you worked in the state. I know that there are Republicans there, but what degree, what's the temperature of camaraderie or not across party lines? But I do hear that almost everyone we talked to today raised that issue of being able to kind of move towards getting things done, which is going to mean in a divided Congress. I mean, a closely and very close majorities for those that dominate in each house. I'd like to know, are you willing to be one of those? I mean, that kind of deals sort of in the middle, hearing the other side, seeing what can be done?
Absolutely. It's already started through our 2 freshman leadership orientation trainings that we've had a chance to do. I've had a chance to work with members of the Republican Party. There's a couple out there come to mind, Representative August Pfluger, Congressman-elect from the great state of Texas. We've already hit it off very well, and one of the commonalities both Congressman-elect Pfluger and I have is we've served in the military together, and we know how to work together, and that's what I'm hoping to do. I wouldn't have run, and I don't think the American public would have sent us to Congress if they didn't want us to work together. And so we're going to have to figure out a way to do that, find areas of common ground that we can all agree on, and look forward to bipartisan legislation. Like you said, the margins are very slim in both the House and the Senate. We'll see what happens on January 5th. But we are at a very, very divisive time in our country right now. And there's a lot of work to put that back together.
I also want to note, and I think if my material's right, that you continue to serve as a lieutenant colonel, probably in the reserve, in the Air Force at Hickam Air Base. I've been there many times. I grew up as an Air Force brat, so I didn't serve, but my dad did. and we were, mainly in Asia, so through Hawaii quite a bit. But I guess, you must have an interest in national security affairs, in military affairs, in what we're doing with regards to that. What do you think are deficits, for those people watching today that don't understand what our social contract is, both with those who serve and also what the state of kind of American foreign policy, national security is? Because you're going to be asked this a lot. I know you're in the military, maybe you're not allowed to talk about it, but I get to ask the questions I want. So how do you kind of look at that foreign policy, national security scene and what needs to be fixed?
Well, the most important thing that our president and the Congress has to do is make sure that Americans are safe, both here in throughout our country and abroad. And we do that through diplomacy. We do that through our United States military and our State Department and the different levers of diplomacy and power that we can project throughout the world. I've had a chance to serve now almost 21 years in the Hawaii National Guard. I was in pilot training pre 9/11. I did my first deployment to Afghanistan in 2004 and went over, like many others, many more times from 2004 to almost 2016 when I began my career in the state Senate. And so, it's an obligation that our country has to its service members, just like we have to our kupuna population, our seniors throughout America, that we take care of them and we fulfill the obligations that we have as our country to those people that have given, in some cases, the ultimate sacrifice and their families' sacrifices to our nation. And that's very, very important to me and something I'll be looking forward to doing in the Congress.
Kai, the other thing I wanted to ask you about, now I don't know where Hawaii's COVID figures are right now. On the mainland here, they suck. They're huge. They're off the charts and people are suffering. It's become common to say we're losing the equivalent of the people we lost in Pearl Harbor now every day. What is the situation with COVID in Hawaii right now?
COVID is a lot better than it is throughout other parts of the country. The governor of Hawaii has started to let and trickle in tourism back into the state via the 72-hour pre-testing program. One of the islands, the island of Kauai, has opted out of that. So there's still a mandatory quarantine if you go to the island of Kauai. But it is devastating to our economy that is so reliant on tourism and the military. And so, from a health perspective, it's okay as compared to the rest of the country. I mean, it can do much better, but it has also had a devastating impact on our economy. And there's so many small businesses that will never reopen again. And I'm hoping that we can get through this. What's critically important is, as we speak right now, the Congress, both the House and the Senate and its top negotiators, come up with an additional stimulus bill, something to get us through the end of this Congress, and that can help so many Americans across the country that have lost their jobs, that are relying on unemployment checks, small businesses that need PPP funding. That's what's really important right now, and I just hope the Congress, the 116 Congress, can get it done.
I want to ask you, as I've been asking everybody what to do, but before I ask you my final question, I know you're a commercial airline pilot, or you were. I don't know if you're going to be able to continue that job, but it does, strike me as kind of interesting that you could fly yourself back and forth to Hawaii every weekend.
I am. I'm one of the only, if not the only, current and qualified commercial airline pilot to serve in the United States Congress. I'm a proud member of the Airline Pilots Association for the last 11 years. And, my company, Hawaiian Airlines, has been great. And I'm looking forward to continuing working with them and for them while I serve in Congress. We're trying to figure out how to do that. I'd like to say I'm a career pilot, not a career politician. I started flying at 18 years old. And, I've just always had that love of flying. And yeah, maybe one day I can fly, the plane to Washington, D.C. I've done it before. We fly direct flights to Boston, Logan, and Kennedy in New York, and so I'm looking forward to. Well,
I'm fascinated by that. When you check off all those boxes, let me know. But let me just ask, just as a thing I've been asked here, every administration can have blind spots. Every administration, has a different set of priorities. From your perspective, where you sit, what do you want to see the Biden-Harris team do and prioritize on the front end? What do you think is vital? Because I know a lot of Democratic congressmen and Democratic senators who may end up being critical of the priorities that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris bring. But what do you think need to be on the front end of their priorities as they come into a new Congress and a new administration?
Healthcare is number one. And the way we can do that is allow Part D of Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices. Our previous speakers talked about the solvency of Social Security and how we can address that. But I look at healthcare as one of the most critical things that the Biden administration can do. It's tough. Democratic presidents, Republican presidents have not been able to do that. The Affordable Care Act didn't even touch renegotiating or adding a component to negotiate Part D Medicare drug prices. That's absolutely important. As someone who's in the military and where the VA can negotiate prices, it receives mandatory rebates, it maintains a national drug formulary. Medicaid, those prices are set at the lowest rate. It's absolutely ridiculous that we cannot allow Medicare to negotiate Part D drug prices, and that's something that's going to have to be done. The 2003 Medicare Modernization Act, in some respects, has been devastating to our country, and that's something that we need to fix.
Well, Representative-elect Kai Kahele, I'm with you on Friday Aloha shirt, days.
All right.
So if you want, I'm now following you on Twitter. We can start a new movement. It took me a while to get out of ties, and I'm ready to kind of branch out into new areas. So listen, thank you so much. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing what you do here in Washington. Thanks for joining us for these important discussions today.
Okay, mahalo, Steve. Have a great day and happy holidays to everyone. Take care. Mele kalikimaka.
And to you. Well, that brings us to the end of our program today. A big thank you to AARP and to all of you attendees for joining us for this discussion. If you missed any of the conversations, we're going to have all of this up on video on our event site, on our event website at thehill.com/events very shortly. I'm Steve Clemons. Think about your seniors in your community. Reach out to them. Be empathetic. Be well. Be safe. See you soon. Aloha.